So something's been on my mind lately, and by the title of the video and what I'm about to say may make me sound like kind of insane. But hear me out. Just bear with me. I'm gonna try and make as much sense as possible. I'm gonna try to explain this as clearly as I can. When let's start from the beginning. So I think it's obvious that people have difficulties in life, right? Maybe that's even an understatement. Everybody has difficulties, right? They have trials and tribulations, hard times, mountains to climb, barriers in front of them, whatever fucking trite terminology, phrase, or cliche you want to use. We all go through some shit, essentially, to sum it all up, right? And oftentimes, well, let me just also say that everybody's problems are different. There's varying levels of issues. Some people have uh, a terrible job that they don't like, that they have to get through until they find another job. That's an issue that can be difficult on the old mental health, even the physical health, perhaps, if you're working like hard construction labor and doing backbreaking work day in and day out, and it's aging you a little faster than you like. But some people have it much worse, right? Some people have it much worse. Rather, they're going through an incredible health problem. Maybe they're terminally ill, right? And those people, obviously, I couldn't feel more bad for them. And if by some chance somebody that knows somebody like that comes across this video, I hope the very best for anybody that's ill, and I hope the quickest recovery for anybody. And if recovery is not on the horizon, I hope it becomes on the horizon, because health is the most important thing. So hope everybody's all right. Anyways, back to the point. So we all go through difficult times, right? And you can voice these as much as you want, right? Anybody can say, hey, I have this problem, I have that problem, and I'm not going where you think I'm going with this. I'm not gonna give like the old stupid, I don't even know if it's stupid, because there is a little bit of truth to it. But I'm not gonna give the stereotypical boomer advice of, like, let's say, hey, you know what? You'll hear this all the time. It's all over the place, and it's usually, once again, from like middle-aged people over 50, let's say. Is that reaching into old age? Like 55, right? Middle age is probably what, maybe 40 to 50? What's reaching into upper age? 50 is probably still middle age. Anyways, not the point. So, you'll hear this advice, you'll hear somebody in this group, usually, it could be anybody, but I've noticed it's mostly this demographic. They'll say something along the lines of, hey, you know what? You're in a bad place right now, but it's only because of the choices you've made. If you had just made better choices, you wouldn't be here. You'd be in a better spot. You would be successful if you, and even oftentimes if they've, like, thrown some shit at the wall and it just happened to stick, whether they've had something to do with it or not, they'll take credit and they'll say, oh, if you would have just done what I did, you would be successful. You would be great. You would have a good life and you wouldn't just be miserable. You're not being happy is your own fault. And it's like, you know, as fucking unbelievably pretentious that is, and just the utter lack of humility there is kind of on a new level, to where it's I think it goes without saying, fuck those people, right? Fuck those people who act like that, act like they're so high and mighty that they can't get off their high horse enough to say, oh, you know what, or to show some fucking understanding. Anyways, that's not exactly the point. Let's go back to the part where they say, "Hey, your choices. It's your choices that are what's wrong with you today." And once again, your choices are what's wrong with you, and you could have made another choice if you had just made better choices. That's kind of where I want to revolve this video around, right? Or revolve this rant around. How exactly does one know that somebody could have made a different choice? I want to know. These people must have a time machine, because I have never once in my life gone back in time. Let's say I made a choice, right? I made a decision to do something. I have never gone back in time to see if I could have made a different choice. So I'm going to give the most basic example I can think of. Let's say, you know, last week I got in my car and I drove to the grocery store, right? I got in my car, I drove to the grocery store. It's July 4th right now. On June 27th, I drove to the grocery store, right? I have no idea if I could have made a different choice. I have no idea if I could have not driven to the grocery store. You know why? Because once again, I can't go back in time to that moment and make the other choice. It's impossible. If every atom in the universe was the same, if every single atom in the universe was the way it is, could I have made a different choice? I don't know. That's why when these people say, oh, you have a choice, you don't fucking know that. How do you know? I demand proof. I demand it. Every time I hear it, I'm not letting people get away with this anymore either. Every time I hear it, I'm going to say, how do you know? And I'm going to bring that exact example up. And I'm going to explain that to them. Now, let me make a little bit of a proviso to this, or I should say a proviso. I live my life as if I have a choice. I'm not completely surrendering to determinism here. I'm not just like, you know what, we're all on a track. We're in a fucking computer system. People are controlling us. We can't control anything that happens in our life. Our lives are on a complete fixed setting. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm not saying that. I'm not surrendering to determinism once again. But what I am saying is that I don't know if it's not a deterministic universe that we live in. I don't know if I have a choice. And that just goes back to, oh, free will, bro. You got free will. And a lot of times you'll hear this from the religious section of the world. You know, free will. Yeah, the higher, whatever fucking God I pray to gave me free will. Well, how do you know? Once again, how the fuck do you know? And it bothers me to no end because the level of cognitive dissonance, the level of arrogance there to just assume that, oh, you know what, you have a choice. How do you know? And once again, go back to that example. You use it for anything. I went to SUNY Oswego, right? That was the college I went to. SUNY Oswego up north, right? I live in New York. Went to SUNY Oswego up north. I chose to go there, right? Well, I had a great experience. Love my friends to death from there. Great time. But imagine if I had a bad time, right? And I would have said, you know what? I didn't like it there. I stayed through it, and now I'm just not happy with my college experience. Well, you could have chose to go somewhere different. Okay, fine. You will, to prove that to me, you will have to travel back to 2013 and, you know what? Prove that I could have gone somewhere else. Prove that I could have made a different decision. There's no way to know whether we have a choice or not. So fuck off with that, for real. Fuck off with that. And once again, I still live my life as if I do have a choice, because surrendering to determinism almost makes life meaningless. And I'd rather not have that doomer mentality just yet, at least. So that's my rant today. Thanks for listening. Do with it as you will.